All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Ageless Energy Show. Today, we're talking about the dangers of sunscreen. So, that's going to be exciting. Let's make sure that we are running on all cylinders. And we will get things going. It says I'm live, but I don't see that I'm live. Give me 2 seconds and we will get this worked out. All right. I think we're live again. Well, regardless of where you streamed, stop because of in there. Do you want to record? Continue recording. Is there a delay there? How we doing? Can you guys let me know if you can see me live? I would think we're live. This looks like we are good to go. So, if you didn't hear me, welcome to another Ageless Energy Show. I'm excited to jump on here and talk about the dangers of sunscreen, not the dangers of the sun. Two very different things. We're going to get into it today. Let me know where you're watching from in the comments. It would be great to hear where you guys are watching from, and also I think it's kind of cool for other people to see that we have viewers from all over the place. And I want to do a quick test. I'm just going to flip this over real quick to see if that shows what I'm doing. And it looks like it does not. So that's okay. I don't need to share my screen with you today. I always working through technology. I feel like we just accept, we accept, oh, I'm not very good at technology, or I am. Like you, it's a message or a story you tell yourself, right? And technology is definitely a regular challenge for me. I don't feel like I'm naturally good at it. But at any rate, I don't suppose that matters much. We're going to get into it here today. And mindset is something I often talk about. Maybe I should mention, well, I guess it doesn't matter. Let's see who we got. Ed's watching from the kitchen. Awesome, Ed. Good morning, Sheila. Good morning, Leanne. Sharon's in here. Sharon says, I get so sunburnt, don't know what to use other than sunscreen when I don't want to wear long clothing. That is definitely a challenge. My mom is in Penhold. Sharon is in High River. All right. Let me know, let me see. You know what a good question is what sunscreen do you use? Do you have anything in the comments that you'd like to share with us? And those of you that are listening as a podcast, we are streaming live in our private Facebook group, facebook.com/agelessenergy. If you would like to jump in here live at any time with us, you're more than welcome. And we'd like to have open dialogue, open conversation, questions coming back and forth. It's always nice. A little bit different. We did a rebranding of our podcast, and I talked about how often you are just podcasting. Like you're basically just staring at a screen, right? So the Facebook Live is a little bit better, at least for me, because I get a chance to see conversation and see who's in here, and there's a bit more flow of energy, I feel, other than just talking to a screen. Okay, so we got no comments here. I try to use the white ones and not the sprays. My friend makes some homemade stuff. Crystal says, I'm on the road from Olds to Red Deer. Good morning. Good morning to you, Crystal. I know Crystal likes to watch listen while she's driving, so that's awesome. I use Young Living sunscreen. Okay, let's see. I feel like this is going to be a slightly different show than maybe that you're expecting. I'm going to talk about sunglasses. I'm going to talk about sunscreen. I'm going to talk about the sun in general. And I feel like most of that is going to be less than conventional thinking. So that's maybe a that's a warning. that's a warning. That's a preface to give you an idea of what's happening today. And I'd imagine for the most part that's going to be quite a bit different than what most people I'm going to share. It's definitely not conventional. It's going to be quite a bit different than what most people probably believe in, think, feel. So I'm okay with that. I'm here to share my perspective, and I feel like maybe you're here to hear it. And if you're not, I'd imagine you just jump off. This is good morning, Christine. Connie's in here. Stacy, Nadine, Leah. Okay, so let's start with sunglasses. So that's an easier one, I suppose, to ease into. So when it comes to sunglasses in particular, I don't feel like we should be wearing sunglasses. And people are like, oh, what do you mean? The sun damages your eyes. I don't believe that. I really don't. And here's the thing. I'm going to share some of the research that I've looked through today. I'll share that with you today. But usually when it's a topic like this, something I don't normally talk about, like I have views and feelings and understandings of these topics in particular, I don't necessarily share all the time. Like when I see someone wearing sunglasses, I'm not like, you shouldn't be wearing those. Or when and I wear sunglasses too, right? So this might be slightly hypocritical, but I'm going to explain where. Looks like we got a bunch of other people in here. We have Sandra's in here, Sharon's in here. Did I say good morning to Leah? And then good morning to those of you that just popped in here and said good morning to me. So, okay, I understand how it sounds, right? I understand how it sounds, and I know like I can feel like the perspective of like, my gosh, what is this guy going to talk about today? Has anyone heard that before? Maybe you could let me know in the comments. You know what was really cool is when I asked about sunscreen, there's quite a few comments, like a lot of comments around sunscreen in particular of what you use. And there's some cleaner ones there for sure. So I'll get into that. But when it comes to, sunglasses in particular, I don't feel like, I believe like the basis of this conversation or my belief system when it comes to the sun in particular is that the sun is healing. Now, unfortunately, the sun is all life, right? We need sunshine for plants to grow. I feel like we as human beings, we thrive off sunshine. There's so many benefits. You could think of, well, I'm not going to get into the whole solar system, but look, we need the sun to heat the earth to survive. And I feel like often it's spun in a different direction of this. The sun is dangerous, and we need to wear sunglasses, and we need to wear sunscreen, and we need to protect ourselves from the sun because of skin cancer. I don't believe any of that. So I suppose that's the root of my reasoning when it comes to sunglasses in particular. Now, if you look at sunglasses and what it's blocking, we have different levels of light that enter our eyes, and those different levels affect our body differently, and I would say heal our body differently. So when I was looking through research and understanding a bit more about vision and eyesight, and then the energy that we take in, I feel that we are blocking that those sun benefits coming into our body, so it doesn't just affect our eyes, it affects our overall body, the light that comes into our eyes. So for me to see people always wearing sunglasses, that's a bit of a challenge, because you can look at other areas of their life that are being negatively affected. So I would go to your circadian rhythms and help you understand that that's directly affected by blocking sunlight coming into your eyes. Now, I'll take a step back here, and I'll tell you, I'm not talking about all sunlight. I'm not talking about all sunlight in particular, and this is the same thing when it comes to sunscreen. Do I have a slight delay on the camera? I think I could flip over to another camera if there's a bit of a delay. Although I don't want to mess with the tech stuff too much. Let's see. So, okay. I'll read some comments here in a second. But if you look at your circadian rhythms, those affect many different areas of your life. And we're talking about hormones in particular. So I'm talking about melatonin. I'm talking about your metabolism. You're looking at a lot of women come to us and they're looking at balancing their hormones in particular. And we try as our company, we try to look at all aspects as a holistic, not just as a holistic whole, but in a holistic manner, being more natural health. So you see people staring at screens all day long, and then they go outside and they're like, oh my gosh, it's too bright, gotta wear my sunglasses. So those healing energies you're blocking your body from by wearing sunglasses. So when we were looking at other areas where that could help, it was directly linked to your hormones in particular, and that was melatonin in particular. So we have a lot of women in this age group that don't particularly sleep well. I believe you can look at your whole lifestyle, including your eyesight and your vision, what you're staring at all day, whether that's the blue lights, computer screens, etc. And so your cortisol levels are definitely affected by your vision as well. So let me get into some comments here, and then I'll go back and I'll explain a bit more. So let's see. Ed says, like good quality sunglasses, don't trust cheap ones. Sharon says, my friend said this about a year ago, and I've totally thought she was crazy about not wearing sunglasses. And that's fair. That's fair. Like, you don't hear this very often. Like, the news isn't talking about not wearing sunglasses. They're the opposite, right? Make sure you're sun protected this summer, right? And now we have all the whole global warming thing, which I'm not going to get into. But it's like, I think like last year or the year before, it was very, very recent. It was like, there is a weather warning. Get inside. And I think it was too hot or something. I don't know. In my opinion, that's a bit ridiculous. I feel that's the problem, is that we're not spending enough time outside. We're not getting enough sunshine, enough sunlight. We're stuck inside, in offices, in front of blue lights. And then we're like, instead of getting outside and having healing benefits from the sun, in my opinion, it's like, get outside and then block your eyes from the sun because it's dangerous. And I'm like, I kind of think the opposite. I think being inside all day long in front of screens is dangerous. Just my opinion. Sharon says, no, I'm not sure what you're saying no to. There's a little bit of delay, so I'm guessing no to not wearing sunglasses. Sheila says, good to hear. Great topics. Okay. So that's sunglasses in particular. So let me take a step back and say, I don't think that you should never wear sunglasses. If you're outside all day, I'm talking about like, this is probably overexposure, right? I feel like we live in this fear-based world where there's all of our decisions are based around fear. So if we were to change that, think about, I love this question, is what would your decision be if you removed all fear? Write that down. What would your answer be if there was no fear? Because in most cases, we'd have a very different answer. And I feel like most of our decisions, like wearing sunglasses, my eyes are going to be damaged. Wearing sunscreen, my skin is going to be damaged. I'm going to get skin cancer. Those are, in my opinion, those are decisions or a mindset based around lack instead of abundance. So let's go back to spending, like if you're spending all day outside, then maybe you want to wear sunglasses once in a while. I would suggest that if you are spending most of your time during the peak hours, like we've spent a lot, I'll get into this in a little bit later here in the show, but we've spent a lot of time in hot areas like Los Angeles, more recently Florida. And we know for a fact, like if we're outside from 11 to 3, that's the hottest time of the day, and that's where the most sunshine is, and that's where the most of the damage could come from. What I didn't talk about in particular was the times of day. So if you're outside early in the morning, I don't think you should be having I don't think you should be wearing sunglasses. If it's later in the evening, again, I don't think you should be wearing sunglasses. There is actually something called sun gazing, and you're not staring at the sun When you're not staring at the sun in the middle of the day at 2 p.m. when it's hot, right? You are looking at the sun when it's first coming up, so a sunrise and then a sunset. And from the research that I've found, there's clear health benefits to sun gazing, and you slowly increase. And I mean, so here's the thing. I feel that we are energized by the sun. And if I look at an extreme example. So the life that we live right now is based in, like, I'm in an office right now. I'm almost never in an office. Like, just, this is new to me. And I see people in offices and they are literally in like a box. And I feel like that's almost like a cage. and I don't mean to say that like this is, I just feel I'm just not used to it. And I see other people in these boxes and I'm like, my gosh, we live like this. And like, for me, it's important to have windows. And for me, like, I go for walks throughout the day. Like, I just call them clarity walks. Like, I got to get out. I got to clear my mind. I got to get some fresh air, sunlight, look at green things. That's actually really good for your eyes. Proven studies around looking at, that's why I love plants, because they're living. The green actually helps your eyesight. But the problem is like, this is the life we live, and I think everything's connected. So we're sitting there staring at a screen, and often it's this far from our face, and we're scrolling, right? And if we're not scrolling, we're on a computer screen working all day long, right? And then you look at, like, I like to do research on both sides. When I was doing research around this topic, I was like, I knew about this intuitively for a long time. I just didn't really do research. I don't really talk about it because it's an odd subject, and I'm human. I'm not like excited to be like, I'm a weirdo. I don't think you should be wearing glasses, because I know there's people sitting there that's like, don't believe that. Something wrong with that guy. Because everywhere you look, it's like, you got to wear sunglasses, you got to wear sunscreen. But I feel like there's a real issue with our health as our health continues to decline with better supplements, with better knowledge, with more technology. Why is our health continuing to declining? I feel like we can look at simple things like this. So, okay, when you're in this one extreme, from in an office staring at screens all day, usually stressed out and miserable. Let's stretch that to a holiday, like a beach vacation. I feel like there's a lot of benefits and a lot of reasoning that we're much more happier and excited about life because we are outside more. There's more sunlight. There's grounding. You're probably walking in grass, or hopefully walking in grass, or you're walking in sand. Hopefully it's not sprayed with all that pesticide nonsense that so many people spray around our neighborhood. Drives me bonkers. And then from there, we're surrounded by negative ions. Different. These are positive in your house, probably in your office. Screen these are positive ions. Screen is positive. Lights are positive. You need negative ions to balance. Something that you can do is put a fountain in your house or room, so running water. You can also put in Himalayan salt lamps. Those are negative ions that help balance out. Those are negative ions that help See, it messes with your mind because you want to say those are negative, but they're actually positive, and the negative is good. So, I just saw some comments here. Let me finish this subject. So, when you are on holidays and everyone's happier and everyone's taking pictures of their best life and you just feel good, right? I feel like that has a lot to do with your outside, more fresh air, more sunlight, and hopefully it's not caked in sunscreen, which I'll get into in a second, and sunglasses and protection. I think we're wearing swimwear and wearing shorts and t-shirts. We're getting more vitamin D. We're feeling better about ourselves. I think that's directly linked to our health and to our well-being. It's not just we're on a vacation, we're going away. Like, there's a number of different reasons that excites you, because you know how you feel much better in that state of being surrounded by sunlight, as opposed to the opposite, sheltered, no windows, living or working in a box. I mean, I don't know how many people live in or work in, maybe let me know in the comments, like, how many people work inside in like a office building where maybe there's a window, or maybe no windows. Okay, let's see what we have here. Nope, need sunglasses. Karen, yeah, I got you, Karen. That's probably what your doctor told you, I would imagine. If you had eye surgery, your eye doctor will take, yeah, so your doctor's going to tell you to wear sunglasses. Yeah, no question. Tammy says, agree with 100%. I need the sunlight in your eyes. Ed says, just heard a study about how LED light doesn't have a red spectrum light, and that it's impacting health was interesting. Yeah, super interesting. I think it's all interesting. I think it's all interesting, both sides. If understanding eyesight, I also feel like there's clear studies around those that wear sunglasses all the time and vision impairment or less quality of eyesight. But at any rate, I'll leave that with you. That's how I feel about it. I don't expect those of you that have said I'm wearing sunglasses or my doctor says I have to wear sunglasses, I don't expect you to change. I'm just here to offer a different angle, a different light on the subject, and that's how I feel about it. So, moving on to sunscreen, even more controversial is that I don't wear sunscreen, and I'm not. I would say I don't recommend. It's not that I don't recommend wearing sunscreen. I don't have any opinion on what you do. I personally don't wear sunscreen, and I never really have. And I don't really think that it's a thing that we should wear. So that's the tough one when a lot of people say, what sunscreen do you recommend? And I would say none. But the decision is up to you. I thought it was really cool that we had a lot of people in our private Facebook group that had different options. And I actually thought about going through those different options and finding what were like some of the cleanest ingredients or some of the cleanest products. But I thought, you know what, that's not going to be a whole lot beneficial to too many people, because in most cases people love what they love and they're not going to change. So we had someone actually said we got to look at skin cancer, right? We actually had someone that said, I said, you should probably stay away from banana boat. Like I feel like that was pretty clear, but maybe that's not a fair statement, because when you go to those beach environments and a lot of those people are like, they're spraying banana boat all over them. And it's like, shh, right? And then you can smell it a mile away. And you're like, oh my gosh. And Dorothy and I are often, like, we know, right? We're like, we'll be riding our bikes down the beach and you'll smell the fragrance. And it's like, banana boat. But I know some people so someone said, isn't banana boat better than skin cancer? And I would say they come hand in hand. I would go as far as to say you have to look at all of those ingredients that come in those products that could possibly cause skin cancer. And I know that's a big thing, because at least I looked at studies in the stats in the U.S. and it's 1 in 5 people will have some form of skin cancer. And then you look at the sales. So you look at the skin cancer around the world, where the highest percentages are, and then look at where the highest percentages of suntan lotion is sold, right? It's pretty clear to me, but you have a bunch. I'm sure there'll be a bunch of arguments of it depends. Like you could look at hotter climates, right? Their skin tone is naturally darker in hotter climates, right? There's a number of different things you could say, but here's what I'll share with you is that I would suggest, if you're going to be out during those peak hours, let's say 11 or noon to 3, if you're going to wear skin cancer, or that wasn't on purpose. If you're going to wear suntan lotion, sunscreen, not suntan lotion, oh my gosh, you're going to wear sunscreen, wear it between 12 and 3. That's what I would suggest. And then if you're not going to be in that direct sunlight from early on, I feel, at least in my opinion, I feel like those are healing hours earlier in the morning and then later in the evening to avoid the sunscreen. Okay. So I was in, what would I do? I usually cover up. That question comes up. So when we're in those hot areas, like for example, so I played baseball all over. I played a lot of baseball in Los Angeles or in California. And then from there you're standing in the field for hours, right? So if I know I was standing in the field during those peak hours, I would cover up, like I would actually wear sleeves. I was one of the few that would wear sleeves at that time, but I didn't want to wear sunscreen. And I felt like there was a chance of some skin damage if you're in that direct sunlight for long periods of time. So And the same thing with Australia. I played baseball for 7 months in Australia. It was a long stretch, and I feel like if you're in the sun for that long, it could be damaging with anything, like anything that is good, clean, healthy, healing. If there's maybe not everything, but if there's too much of it, it's not going to have a positive. It's not going to have a positive or a benefit for your health. I feel like we have to pay attention to that kind of stuff. Like you could look at some supplements like magnesium, probably not pay attention to, you don't want to take too much magnesium, right? There's not huge detriments to your health, but probably not something you want to take too much of in particular. But let me get into some comments here, and I'll carry on. I only wear it sometimes and some days, but burn so bad if I don't wear the sunscreen. Yeah, so that a lot of people say that, and a lot of people burn, right? But I feel like this is different than suntanning, right? Like I feel like we suntan, like we're laying out and we put the copper tone. Is that still a thing? We put the copper tone suntanning lotion on us to like attract sunlight to us at like 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Like probably gonna burn, right? I would suggest wearing clothing at that time to cover up, or not being out in direct sunlight, like being outside in shade, for example, or wearing a hat and some type of clothing so you're not directly going to burn. But there's I was watching some information. What was it? It was an interview with a doctor, and he was talking about how there are toxins in the lotion, which is obvious, right? At least in my opinion. I wrote Detoxify Yourself, and that's all about all the toxins that we put in and on our body. So I feel like it's worth mentioning that our skin is our biggest organ. So anything you put on your skin is absorbed into your skin. So I was listening to this one interview, and there's this chemical called benzene, and they had clear studies about benzene not listed on the product, and they actually found the benzene in the product, in the sunscreen. So that's pretty scary to me, because that's a toxic that causes health issues, and it's not even listed on the bottle. And that, like, push that aside, there's a dozen in most cases, like in most like bottles, cosmetics in general. You could look at shampoos and soaps, toothpaste. There's a number of different things in particular that we should be staying away from. You could look at mineral oil. I have them all listed. I have 4 main ones that I have listed in my book, Detoxify Yourself. And most of those come in your sunscreen, which I feel is causing more damage to our health than the sun. You also put that sunscreen on. I feel like we get like signs, right? Like if we're in the sun too much, you feel dehydrated. You probably get maybe not quite sunburnt, but your skin gets like a little sore. Do you know what I mean? Like when you move, it's like, oh, I got a little bit too much sun. I feel like those are clear signs. Like if you are in the sun too much and you have sunscreen on, your body doesn't have any signals to be like, hey, you should probably not spend so much time out here, right? And that's what I'm talking about, is like it's a challenging subject, not only because of what most people believe or what we've been told to believe. I mean, the challenging part there is like you have to look at where the information is coming from, right? It's like, to me, it's like dandelions. Like at what point was dandelions a weed? Like dandelion, the leaves can be eaten in a salad. Of course, they're bitter, but it's actually an herb that has healing benefits. And at what point were we told, and the whole world believed, that it's a weed and we should spray it and kill it with chemicals? Like there was a clear time in history, and that was when companies like Roundup started to come out and advertise all over. They pay the news, of course, right? They're on the news, and they're on TV commercials, and they're in magazines, and they're selling Roundup so you could kill this weed. So to me, I feel like it's very similar. It's a very similar concept when we look at the sun. Like, in my opinion, the sun is very healing. It's very beneficial. We need sunlight in different areas, from your eyesight to your overall body, talking about circadian rhythms to your hormones, metabolism, sleep. It's all connected. And we do, in most cases, we do the exact opposite of probably what we should be doing, is spending more time outside during particular times of day, right? Protecting ourselves with sleeves and hats if necessary during those times, but making sure we're spending more time out there and we're collecting that vitamin D and all the health benefits that we can find through our eyesight, through our skin. Like our skin, where does that vitamin D come from? When it hits our skin, right? Like that goes into our body. That's what we should be doing. And it's like, instead of, it was the thing, it was like during the lockdowns, it was like, get inside and don't go outside. Like we were locked in our homes, which was bizarre, but that happened. And then we realized that there were clear research around your health and vitamin D in particular. And it was like, so they're telling you, yes, we have clear evidence that your immune system is much more resilient, or much more protected if you're having vitamin D, but stay inside. Like didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And then on top of that, the supplement industry kind of went up. Well, not kind of went up drastically, especially looking at vitamin D, because it was like, you need your vitamin D. And I'm like, if you get outside and you get that proper vitamin D through your skin, that's much better off than a supplement, in my opinion. And we sell supplements. Like it's not in my best interest to say stop supplementing, get outside, but that's my truth, and I want to share that with you. If you look at those other companies that they benefit from, like those sunglass companies, of course the sunglasses companies are saying protect your eyes because you buy more sunglasses from them and they make more money. Same thing with Roundup, same thing with sunscreen. So I would venture to say it's probably a bit more beneficial to understand where that knowledge is coming from, or where that conversation is coming from, and make an informed decision. Probably do some research and figure out what the best option is for you. Let's see, what does Sharon have to say? Yeah, I know this is not a topic that people really want to hear about. Sharon is like, we got a quiet audience. I think people are leaving. They're like, oh my gosh, this is nonsense. Sharon says, some people think I'm crazy, but the air was so dry when I moved to Alberta that I stopped using shampoo. I would scrub my scalp like I would if I had shampoo, moving around the natural oils. My lifelong problem with dandruff. My hair is so healthy, I stopped using the soap, and I only use the lotions, creams for my body that I take myself. That's fantastic, Sharon. That's great. That's great. Like, it's the only thing. Like, I don't think it sounds crazy. It only sounds crazy because there's few people that would do that, or actually maybe believe in that. But I think it's great. I feel like for example, like my grandmother, she was always in the garden in the summertime, always in the garden. And she didn't wear a hat and long sleeves in the mornings or in the evenings. There wasn't really any reason to, in her opinion. And then when she was in the garden in the middle of the day, 2, 3, 4 o'clock, she had a hat on, like a big hat, and she had long sleeves on. And it was like, I feel like it's a bit of common sense. It just makes a lot of sense. And I feel like if we went back, instead of like all this new stuff, like it's all fear, right? Like all this new stuff coming out and everything that we're not supposed to be doing and everything that we should be doing, I don't think we're any better off. Like, I don't think we're any better off than we were years ago, like generations ago, like 2 generations ago. I feel like we were healthier then than we are now. And now we live in, like, we have all these, we live off these boxes. And you could look at boxes and packaged foods to finish that topic. But you could look at like sunlight in particular. Like, we have a toddler, and then he was a little bit jaundicey. He didn't have to go to the hospital or anything like that. But the first thing they tell you is to like put him in sunlight. Like, that's a pretty clear example for me of how healing sunlight is. Something else is that he was only, he was very young, 3 months. Maybe that's too early, 6 months. We took him to the pool, and then we're like, oh my gosh, like there's chlorine there, it's chemicals. So we're like, his skin didn't like it that much. So we're like, we don't really want him in the pool that often. even though he loves swimming. He's like a fish. So we put a pool. He had like a bit of a skin rash. So we put him outside in the sun in a little pool. He was there all the time. Skin problems gone. Like almost not instantly, but like it was a clear difference of more sun outside. And this was in the early mornings. He'd get up in the morning and be a bit fussy. Like, you want to go outside on the back deck in the pool. So that's what we would do. And then in the evenings we do the same thing. Not in the direct sunlight, not at peak hours, but no sunscreen. And then you could look at other areas. Like, for example, we have spent a lot of time in the sun. And I don't have any skin damage on my face. And you could see, like, you could look at people. You know what the problem is I feel like it's the opposite of what we think. Like, we put these creams and lotions and protectants on our face. I feel like that's where the damage really comes from. Yeah, it's a crazy opinion. And here's the thing: is like, people don't want to hear that because it's different than what they've been taught early on, and they don't want to think they've been lied to. And then on top of that, they don't want to feel like the things that they've been doing and maybe telling their friends, family members, kids to do, they don't want to believe that was a lie and that could have been damaging to them, right? Like, there's a thing called, it's not my like favorite topic to talk about because people don't necessarily like to hear it. They're like, you could see like there's a bunch there. We lost half our audience already. Because they're like, I don't want to hear that, right? But I feel like there's actually, the thing called the phrase, don't shoot the messenger. Like, there's clear research around when someone tells information that you don't want to hear, how the person is now perceived, right? And those studies are always really interesting to me. I watched this one study, it was super interesting. They had about, I don't know, 5 or 10 people in chairs. And they're all paid actors except for one. This was in the 80s. It was like almost black and white. They were all paid actors, and there was one person that wasn't. Like, they were the test. So they did. I think this one in particular was a line study, and it had different lines, or like maybe as tall. Like, and they were very close. So it was like, what line is taller? And it was like this much difference, right? Those of you that are maybe only listening, not watching, is I'm just showing they're just different sized lines, but very close to one another. And there was like 5 people that all said number 1 is longer, even though it was shorter, right? And then they get to the 6th person, the other ones were actors, and he's like 2, and then they all look at him. And he's like clearly unsettled. Then they do it again, and eventually, even though they were all wrong, he would just say exactly what they said because he didn't want to be the only one. Like, and you could see, like, in his head, he's like thinking, and he's like looking at them like, is this for real? It's so interesting to see how the mind works and how like human behavior works. And I'm not exactly sure where I was going with that, but I think that kind of stuff is really interesting. Let's see. Sandra jumped in here. She says, different topic, but could you speak to pollen allergy treatment sometime? Yes. We can talk about, we can talk about allergies in the future. Probably something that the majority isn't going to want to hear again. But, you could go to your conventional information easily, right? I also thought it was interesting how easily information was found about this topic, about toxins in particular, about sunscreen, and then sunglasses. I thought, because I haven't really done any real research. I just kind of intuitively knew, like, we probably shouldn't be wearing sunglasses. And then I just type a quick, easy search. Why shouldn't we wear sunglasses? Tons and tons of information came up, and I was like, why does no one talk about this? Or why haven't this been like an open conversation? Or why haven't I heard anyone else really mention this? And again, I think that goes back to how few people actually want to hear that kind of stuff because they're used to like, oh, my doctor said sunglasses, or my eye surgeon or whoever got to wear sunglasses. Like, I'm not telling you not to. That's not my point of this conversation. I feel like you should do what you think is best. And if you just, let's say, for example, you stop wearing sunglasses tomorrow and you're worried about, you're like, oh my gosh, I got to be wearing sunglasses. Like, of course, like your stress levels are going to go up. Your cortisol levels are going to go up. You're going to be questioning what you're doing. Like you got to do what's best for you or what you believe in, or your trusted physician or your trusted expert. In most cases, that's a doctor, especially this age group. I think early 40s may be a little bit different, but 50 plus is almost, well, at least what I've found, is almost always what your doctor says. Like, this is what my doctor said, this is what I'm doing. Okay. Like, I'm not here to argue or debate or try to change your mind. I just want to share maybe a different angle for you and have a consideration of what's actually going on with their health. Because if you look at what everyone is doing, I feel like that's rarely the right direction to go. Because look at in generalization, our health is declining rapidly. There's never been anyone we've never had a society more obese. We've never had more health food, but we've never had more fast food and medication either, right? Someone sent me this meme this morning on social media, and it was someone that was probably 250 pounds, maybe 300 pounds. And it was this person was actually in whatever year, 50s or 30s, was actually part of a circus to see the fattest man around. I don't know, probably not in the world. And he wasn't that heavy, probably very close to average today. And I just think it's a very interesting place to be in. And also, I feel like if we keep doing the same things that we're doing, nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to improve our health. Nothing's going to change our mindset. We're just going to continue to do the same thing. Sandra says I'm suffering. Yeah, there's a lot to that, Sandra. Ed says local honey. Local honey is definitely something that could help with allergies. You know what's interesting, and I don't mean to say this that you're unhealthy, but I feel like the healthier you are, the more you're able to deal with allergies. And like seasonal allergies. And I used to get seasonal allergies really bad, and that was when we first moved rural. Probably took me about 3 years for it to settle in, and that was really bad for 5-6 years. It was really bad. Like, I would wanted to pull my eyeballs out and scratch them, and we tried all these different natural methods. But our health, we look at different probiotics and activity levels and nutrition, and I feel like as I've aged, I've been healthier without question. And in the place that we're in now, I have, at least more recently, I don't remember experiencing allergies very much at all. And certainly not like I have before. I'll have to see how that goes this year. I haven't really paid attention to it. Before, it was like, oh my gosh, here comes this season. And I feel like there's a psychological effect to that as well. But I feel like that also has to do with our agriculture. We got a lot of farmers and country people around here that aren't going to like that. But there's very clear spraying. I was all over the world. I was mostly in cities, but I never really experienced allergies until I got to a rural community. And then of course we were surrounded by farm fields, and who knows what kind of seeds there are. And there's I saw I don't know what they're called, a sprayer fly over me, and then we think that stuff just disappears, right? Those chemicals just disappear into the air. That goes into our food system, and then it goes into our soil, and then it goes into our water table. It's all connected. Yeah, it is encouraging, Sandra. I think there's a way out. I think there's an answer. I think the more we pay attention to our health, because when when allergies really hit you hard, you feel unwell. You feel like your immune system is compromised. It's not far off then from a common cold. So the stronger our immune system is, I feel like the better we're able to fight that kind of stuff. So we can talk about that more in another one, or maybe even one-on-one. But anyways, I'm going to jump off here right away. Rhonda says, I heard that you shouldn't use a metal spoon to scoop the honey. It takes the nutrients away. Maybe you can ask Ed. Just a thought to ponder. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I don't have an answer to that. But it's definitely possible. Thanks so much for joining. If you stick around till the end, appreciate that as well. Not one of the many that jumped off and don't want to hear this, but it's all good. I'm happy to continue the conversation. We're actually going to talk about, I think next week, we're going to talk about bug spray in particular. So that's going to be another one about toxic. This theme month is summer toxins. So if you want to head over to our website, we actually have our activated charcoal. I didn't talk about it too much. We're going to do 20% off of activated charcoal. And we have a discount code. So if you want that, comment below. Say I would like the I'm not able to understand me or yes. I need a full sentence so we can actually get it to you. I would like the discount code for activated charcoal. That has a lot to do with the toxins, like the toxins that we're putting on our body from sunscreen, lotion, soap. That could be the toxins in pesticides that we're breathing in that we don't even know about. So we believe in activated charcoal on a regular basis because we believe in a lifestyle detox and continuing to detox on a regular basis because we're not really sure where those toxins are coming from, how they're accumulating, and how often. So we thought that that'd be a nice way to get you guys on activated charcoal, helping you detox your body, especially from whatever creams or lotions or other things that may be entering your body that probably shouldn't be. I'm going to leave you with that. Sharon says, I'll stop eating sugar. The bugs won't bother you at all. Stop eating sugar. Okay. Oh, she's talking to Rhonda. I'm out of here. Thanks so much for joining live. Have a great day, and we'll catch you soon. Bye, everyone.